Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's your favorite professor, Dr. T. So, I had a question from one of my students. He wanted to know exactly how you determine the period of a function, which his function was a secant function. So, I'm going to focus on that. Just a couple of things that you have to remember. We learn parent functions, and I have some videos about parent functions because I think it's really important to understand what's happening and how you connect it to what you learned previously. Okay, so you have to use the cosine function as a guiding function, but there's all kinds of steps that you need to learn how to graph these functions. Sine, cosine is how you start. That's kind of like the parent functions. And then you have tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant, right? And you know that the first three, if you can remember the first three, then you can remember the second three, right? Anyway, so in this video, I'm specifically speaking about the period, but just to give you a little refresher that A stands for the amplitude, B is the period, C is the phase shift or the horizontal shift, like with quadratic functions, right? Move left and right. And then D is your vertical translation up and down. All right, so let's go. Go over this problem, determining the equation for the graph. So your particular question, I'm just going to create the tick mark for negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. And draw a line through that. Actually, that's not accurate. So let me. So from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, this function. So this is what you're given. And you know that the asymptotes are at pi over 4 and negative pi over 4. So we know, let me draw this line. Don't judge me on lines. All right, this is X. Let me move this down a little bit. This is Y. So you already know that this here at 0, 1. So we know that the amplitude would be the same as like if we were to have a cosine function, right? And then if you use Desmos, Trig, graphing, we can see using cosine and secant, right? That make sure this goes to the right. Right. Starts at 0, 1, goes through pi over 2. Okay. So start here, come down. No, I'm not artsy, but That's what you would use as a guiding function. And then you see that these asymptotes. So we see that the period is from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. The absolute value of that will be negative 2 pi over 2 value, which is pi. Then we are going to say that the period is going to be equal to 2 pi over pi. And then b is equal to 2 pi over pi, which is 2, which is where b comes from.